What if I told you that the most expensive regular issue Lincoln penny ever sold wasn't the famous 1909 VDB, but a coin that many of you might have in a jar of old change? Today we are diving deep into the world of the 1926 Lincoln Wheat Cent. This little copper coin isn't just old, it's a numismatic legend. Before we uncover why this specific penny sold for a staggering $149,500, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a treasure hunt. If you've ever found a 1926 penny, comment S down below if it has the mint mark, or just tell us your best coin find. Let's get started. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why is this coin so valuable? It all starts with the tiny letter S on the obverse, right below the date. That stands for the San Francisco Mint. In 1926, the San Francisco Mint produced 4,550,000 of these pennies. Now, that might sound like a lot, but when you compare it to the Philadelphia mintage of over 157 million in the same year, and the Denver Mint, which produced over 28 million, you realize the 1926 S is a needle in a haystack. But here's the real kicker. The Mint didn't store these coins well. Most of the 1926 S pennies were released directly into circulation. They were handled, spent, dropped, and worn down over decades. Experts at the Professional Coin Grading Service estimate that of the original 4.5 million struck, only about 455,000 survive today in all grades combined. That's just 10%. But the really insane numbers? They estimate only 1,350 exist in mint state condition, meaning uncirculated, and a mere 50 survive in gem condition, which is MS65 or better. This extreme scarcity is what puts the 1926 S in the conversation for the rarest regular issue Lincoln Cent of the 20th century. It's not a variety or an error, it's a regular business strike that simply didn't survive in large numbers. To really appreciate this coin, we need to understand what was happening in 1926. This was the heart of the Roaring '20s. America was booming. The economy was surging, jazz was everywhere, and Charles Lindbergh was just about to capture the world's attention with his transatlantic flight the following year. But the San Francisco Mint was operating under a different reality. They were producing coins for the western states, but the minting technology at the time had limitations. The presses were older, the dies were often overused, and quality control wasn't what it is today. This coin is a physical piece of that era. It survived the Great Depression that followed just a few years later, World War II, and countless economic shifts. Holding a 1926 S in your hand is holding a survivor, a coin that has seen the entire modern American story unfold. And because it was minted in San Francisco, it has an extra layer of historical romance. It represents the West Coast, the gateway to the Pacific, and a growing nation stretching from sea to shining sea. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Condition. This is where the 1926 S becomes a collector's nightmare and a grader's challenge. This coin is famous for its terrible strikes. The presses in San Francisco just weren't hitting hard enough. On the obverse, the Lincoln side, you will often see weak details in Lincoln's hair, his beard, or even his ear. Sometimes the letters L and I in Liberty look like ghosts. But wait, if the obverse looks good, you can bet the reverse is weak. Usually the letters O in 1 cent or annum in America are mushy or partially missing. It's almost as if the mint was saving metal, but really it was just poor die pressure. And the problems don't stop there. Even if you find a coin that is fully struck, the surfaces are often a mess. This coin is notorious for spotting, staining, and a dull, lifeless luster. That's why most of these coins are graded as brown rather than the desirable red. To put it simply, finding a 1926 S that is both well struck and beautiful is like finding a unicorn. That's why high-grade examples command such astronomical prices. So, you think you might have one. Let's do some field identification. First, look at the date. It needs to say 1926 clearly. Then, look directly under the date. Do you see a small letter S? If you don't see an S, it's a Philadelphia Mint coin, which is much more common. If you see a D, it's from Denver, also more common. The S is your golden ticket. Now check the reverse, the back with the wheat stalks. Look at the details on the stalks. Are they sharp, or are they flat and indistinct? A sharp strike is a good sign, but rare. Next, check the color. Is it a bright orange copper color? That's red, and that's where the money is. Is it mottled or dark brown? That's more common. Finally, look for any obvious damage, scratches, dents, or cleaning marks. Cleaning a coin destroys its numismatic value, so never wipe or polish a coin you think might be valuable. A good magnifying glass or a jeweler's lamp is your best friend here. Take your time. Examine every detail. Because this coin is so valuable, it is heavily counterfeited. If you're looking at a 1926S that seems too good to be true, especially in a high grade, it probably is. Authentic 1926S pennies have specific die markers. Experts look for tiny die cracks or the precise placement of the mint mark. The S on a genuine coin has a distinct, slightly tilted shape. Fakes often have a mint mark that looks too thick, too thin, or perfectly vertical. Also, check the weight. A genuine 1926S weighs 3.11 grams. If it's lighter or heavier, it could be a counterfeit or a wrong planchet error, which is valuable in itself, but that's a different story. The best way to guarantee authenticity is to buy only from reputable dealers, or to submit your coin to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate, grade, and slab your coin in a protective holder. That slab is your guarantee of authenticity and quality. Let's talk about what this coin is actually made of. The 1926S Lincoln Wheat Cent is composed of 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc. This is the classic bronze composition used from 1909 until 1942, and then again after the war. The copper itself isn't worth a fortune. It's worth about 2 to 3 cents in melt value today, but the composition matters for preservation. Copper is a reactive metal. It tarnishes, oxidizes, and changes color over time. That's why you see so many brown pennies. The copper reacts with the air, handling, and environmental conditions. This reactivity is another reason high-grade red examples are so rare. The original copper color simply didn't survive in most cases. If a coin was stored in a warm, humid environment, it turned brown or even black. If it was stored carefully in a cool, dry place, the color might survive. So when you see a bright red 1926S, you're not just looking at a well-struck coin. You're looking at a coin that was preserved with extraordinary care for nearly a century. Provenance, the ownership history of a coin, can dramatically increase its value. A 1926S that once belonged to a famous collector like Louis E. Eliasberg Sr., the only person to ever assemble a complete collection of U.S. coins by date and mint, will sell for significantly more than an identical coin with no history. Provenance adds a layer of storytelling. You're not just buying a coin, you're buying a piece of numismatic history. You're buying the prestige of previous owners, the careful curation, and the legacy. For instance, the 1926S that sold for $149,500 wasn't just a high-grade coin. It had impeccable provenance. It was traceable through multiple legendary collections. That history gave it an extra boost at auction. If you ever find a 1926S in an old collection, try to document where it came from. Old envelopes, handwritten notes, or auction stickers can add significant value. While the regular 1926S is already rare, minting errors can make it even more spectacular. There are a few known double die varieties for the 1926S, where the date or lettering shows a doubling effect. These are extremely rare and highly desirable. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly centered on the planchet, and there are clipped planchets, where the blank was improperly cut, leaving a flat edge. If you have a 1926S with any error, even a minor one, it could be worth significantly more than the standard coin. However, you need an expert to authenticate and attribute these errors. Not every anomaly is a mint error. Sometimes it's just damage or wear. If you think you have an error coin, do not clean it. Do not handle it by the faces. Put it in a protective flip and send it to a grading service for attribution.
So what drives collector demand for this coin? First, it's a key date in the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. Any collector who wants a complete set of Lincoln Cents from 1909 to 1958 must have a 1926S. It's non-negotiable. Second, it has a mystique. The combination of low mintage, poor strike, and low survival rate gives it a legendary status. It's the kind of coin that collectors dream about. Third, the market is competitive. When a high-grade example appears at auction, the bidding wars are fierce. Wealthy collectors and dealers fight over these coins because they know they might not see another one in that condition for years. The demand is global. Collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia all vie for the best examples. This international demand pushes prices higher and higher. And finally, the coin is accessible to everyone.
You might not be able to afford a $150,000 MS66 red coin, but you can probably afford a good 4 or fine 12 circulated example for a few $100s. That means every collector can participate in owning this key date. Let's talk numbers. What does a 1926S actually cost? If you find a worn, heavily circulated example in good 4 condition, expect to pay around $150 to $200. Not bad for a penny from change. A very fine 20 example with more detail visible might run you $400 to $600. An extremely fine 40 coin with most detail sharp but still worn is in the $1,200 to $1,800 range. An AU50, about uncirculated, showing just the slightest wear on the highest points, will cost you $3,000 to $5,000. A mint state MS60 to MS62 example starts at around $6,000 and goes up rapidly. An MS64 red-brown is valued at around $1,650. An MS65 red is where it gets serious. Think $25,000 to $40,000. And that record breaker, the MS66 red with impeccable provenance, sold for $149,500. The lesson here is that condition is everything. A single point difference on the grading scale can mean tens of thousands of dollars. If you think you have a valuable 1926S, how do you sell it? First, do not take it to a pawn shop or a local coin dealer without getting it authenticated first. You might get lowballed. Second, consider submitting it to PCGS or NGC for grading. Yes, it costs money, but the slab adds credibility and maximizes your selling price. Third, sell through reputable channels. Heritage auctions, Stocks Bowers, or Great Collections are excellent auction houses for high-value coins. For lower-grade examples, eBay can work, but beware of fees and scammers. And here's what to avoid. Do not clean the coin, ever, because cleaning destroys value. Do not store it in PVC flips because the plastic can react with the copper and turn it green. Do not handle it with bare hands. Use cotton gloves or hold it by the edges. Treat your coin like the treasure it might be. The 1926S Lincoln Wheat Cent is more than just a coin. It's a piece of history, a challenge for collectors, and a potential jackpot for those lucky enough to find one in high grade. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone who inherited a jar of old pennies, this coin represents the thrill of the hunt. It's a reminder that value can be hidden in plain sight. So check your change, check your old collections. You might just be holding a 5-figure coin. Before you go, smash that like button. It really helps the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into valuable coins. And I want to hear from you. Comment below. Do you have a 1926S penny? What condition is it in? Or just tell us your greatest coin find ever. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe my channel.